The scripture speaks of the queen calling her handmaidens to the temple. And the queen is always understood as theology and sacred doctrine above all. The handmaidens are the liberal arts and sciences, those things that are attainable to man by natural reason, logic, for example. And these are brought into use in sacred doctrine. They're actually not principles of sacred doctrine, but they're ways of elevating the mind to participate in the articles of faith. And that's how the medieval universities started, the Oxfords and Cambridge and Paris and Bologna and Salamanca and all. They were religious, theological centers that took the liberal arts and sciences and used them to perfect theology and perfect one's spiritual life, actually. And here you can go back to the Greeks and see that astute mind, Aristotle, but even Plato before him, and even the sophists, began to see that there are certain instruments that the mind uses when it thinks. The trivium, logic and grammar, even rhetoric, the three little ways, right, that lead on to wisdom. But the approach to reality itself is through the quadrivium. Now, the quadrivium is essentially mathematical, and it starts with geometry and arithmetic and number theory. It's studied because the principles of quantity are so few. But once you understand the principles, then you can draw out from those principles really all the things of geometry. But then you don't want to stop, in the overall course of liberal education, stop at just a knowledge of quantity. For taken in itself, maybe quantity is not the most important thing, but these two parts of mathematics are applied now to the world out there. In astronomy, they call this a middle science because it's about something materially that isn't just quantity, but the form of it and the way it proceeds, the method is mathematical. So it's called a mixed science. And this makes even a knowledge of the cosmos, taken as a whole, available to even the young as they're learning. But what you see here is, on the one hand, the cosmos can be explained in a rational way, but at the same time, it's not mathematical in itself. It's a thing of matter and motion and purpose and things of that sort that pertain to an understanding that goes beyond mathematics. And that therefore it should raise a certain wonder in you that, well, what are the principles that belong to the heavenly bodies, to the cosmos as a whole? You do something like this and with music too. You choose, it's a middle science, but the mathematical side of it is arithmetic. But you apply arithmetic to sounds, to the harmonic intervals. They have a rational order to them. And as a matter of fact, the harmonic intervals are small number intervals, like the octave, the 1-to-2 ratio, and so on. And other intervals that aren't small numbers, usually, grate on the ear. They don't seem right. They're dissonant. The study of music, therefore, is a kind of prelude to ultimately the study of the fundamental practical part of life, namely ethics. So that part of the quadrivium, the musical part, pertains to the things related to the will and the sense appetites, whereas the astronomy part of it pertains to the intellect, the speculative. So you have a division here of the speculative intellect on the one hand and the practical intellect on the other. But the trivium and quadrivium aren't sufficient for liberal education. That is, they lead you into something more. And the something more is to those sciences that have to do not with the mathematical, but with the physical itself. You you do that in the philosophy of nature. And you see that nature is a kind of intrinsic principle in things that moves them towards their ends. And it's from there that you, after you've discussed time and place and you also, and motion, you also see that there must be, as a matter of fact, a first cause, a first mover, prime mover, who is a universal mover, moreover, causes all emotions in creation. And when you see that, and you see that there must be, therefore, a way of being above the physical, now you see that there's more for the mind to know. That is, there's a higher science, which, if it's looked at simply philosophically, is called metaphysics. The mind is inclined actually to want to know the ultimate cause of things. Hence, there's a natural inclination in us, a disposition in us, to even enter into the supernatural life. You really don't, in the end, the mind does not want just probable knowledge that can be supplanted by something else. It's not here today and gone tomorrow, but you're really looking for something that is permanent, as wisdom of its nature is permanent. It's not here today and gone tomorrow. And so you're looking through this program for a measure of wisdom. You can't say we have all wisdom, but you hope to say, well, I think we know some things in a perennial way.